Good morning.
Good morning, Jesse. How are we doing today?
Oh, Jesse's not Jesse's not
Oh,
quite yet. Yeah, he shared his link with me. He should be here.
no worries.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to do in order to prepare for this morning?
Um,
I'm his colleague,
um,
Yamaris. Um,
uh,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
oh no, no worries, no worries. We just want to make sure that any unnecessary apps, browsers, or programs are closed down. Then we'll do like a mic, camera, and screen share check if applicable.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's gonna be driving the deck. I'm just gonna keep monitoring, if there's any QAs that come in. I'm assuming they're using the QA option, right? The participants.
Yeah, I believe so. Here, one moment. So sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, run that by me one more time. My apologies.
No, no worries. I said I believe that the participants are gonna have the option to use the Q&A piece on the Zoom.
That is my understanding.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just monitor the QA channel from my side. If anything comes up, I can respond to it. And then Jesse will drive the deck. And I think we're slated to go until 8:45.
Yes, and then yeah, in order to comply with the CTLE credit requirements, it does need to run between 40 to 45 minutes. So if we're already on track for that, then we should be good.
Yeah, I think we have enough. Did you mean for this piece to be recorded?
Oh, we do currently have a recording running.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then I'll give a gentle reminder about 5 minutes before and then a minute before the start.
Good morning, Jesse.
Hey, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can also see you.
All righty. Let me poke around here, make sure I can share my screen. I'll be right back. All right, Emaris, if you can hear me, can you let me know if my screen's coming through?
Yeah, your screen is coming through. I can also see the other background.
Yeah, hit slideshow. Yeah, that better.
Much better.
All righty. I guess we wait. I will start talking right at 8, and I'll probably say we're going to give people a few minutes to roll in.
Yeah.
And then I think what happens when I have video and screen sharing on? What does it look like to you?
It pops up both. I can still see the full slide deck, but I can also see a little
Hover.
hover view. Yeah, a little hover view.
Okay. I will start that way. I may remove my face for parts of it where you need to see a lot of the slide and so I can relax and pick my nose, but we'll start this way.
We have about 5 minutes until the start.
Oh, there is somebody here. I guess I can't see who's here. Thank you. Oh, there's the host.
I will remain on silent and I will also not share my like picture of myself unless you want to like wave me in and then I'll do so. But I'll keep my eyes open for the QA piece of this.
Yeah, if you could just, respond in chat, even if it's come see us in our virtual booth.
Yeah.
I won't be able to monitor chat while I'm talking.
I'll take a look.
How is it that you're able to talk?
I,
Do
your link, the link for presenting.
You're using my link. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need
I was just making sure I wasn't going to have hundreds of people with their mics on. I don't think they should be able to, but
Everyone has their microphone off. They also have their video off, so they can only be a listening participant. And in order for them to receive their CTLE credits, we have to make sure that we go until 8:40, 8:45. So our stop time, there I am. Our stop time is 8:45.
yep.
So if we're coming close to it, anywhere between the 8:40, 8:45 mark is where we want to be.
Yep.
But we have content for that.
Do you think it makes sense to reserve any time to address questions that came up in chat at the end, or should I just power through to the end with my content?
You can power through to the end. There's going to be a lot of questions that we won't be able to answer anyway. The expected attendance rate, I think, is about 1,000 people into our session, or split throughout the day. So if for whatever reason you finish before the 8:40 mark, then we can switch over and do the QA thing.
Okay.
And I'll prompt some questions that have come up in the chat.
Yeah, that'll be my Hail Mary. If I underplan my time, I'll come to you. Just have one or two questions that spur a few minutes of dialogue ready, just in case. Check out their virtual backgrounds here.
I think I'm still at Central Park.
No, you are in some sort of study or library or
Oh,
cafe or something. I
yeah, it's
don't
Central Park from Friends.
like the friend's apartment or something.
Mhm. I loaded it up on the Zoom
Got it.
months
Yeah.
ago, and I never changed it. So now I just showed.
I have a visceral aversion to Zoom as an app, so I uninstall it after I use it every time.
We do have 1 minute until start.
Great.
All right, Jesse, I'm gonna shut off my camera and mute myself. If you need me, just call my name. I'll be here. Good luck.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I know folks are hopping on. I will speak every few seconds for the next couple minutes so you can test your audio. I'm going to give folks a couple of minutes to get situated before I start with my content. Good morning. Good morning, everybody who's joining. I'm watching the numbers tick up. We're going to give it just a couple of minutes for folks to get their audio and video set up. So we'll begin shortly. Thanks for joining. Again, good morning, everyone. We're up to 400 participants. It's still moving up pretty quickly, so I'm going to let folks join for another minute or two. While I do so, you can check that your audio is working. I'll speak every few seconds. Get your coffee or beverage of choice. and we'll get going in just a minute. All right, we are approaching 500 participants. I'm about to get started. Take a minute, make sure your audio is adjusted so that you can hear and see my screen share. And we'll start in 30 seconds. I mean it this time. All right. Well, happy Thursday morning to everybody. We have over 500 people here. I imagine there will be some joining throughout the next few minutes, but we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have any technical issues hearing me or seeing the screen or video that I'm referring to, you can try and use the chat function if you see that, or go back to the link and restart your Zoom. Due to the number of folks in here, I will not be able to address every question in the chat. I'm here with my colleague who will show up with my name in chat, I believe, but her name's Ymeris. She will do some attempts to address the chat, but I will close out with instructions on how to get more information about jump rope and about the topics I discuss towards the end. So we'll wrap up by 8:40 and just have some next step information on the screen for those last couple of minutes. Again, please let them know in the chat if you're having some technical issue. We did an audio and video check beforehand. I'm going to go ahead and dive in. And hopefully you can hear and see everything all right. So my name is Jesse Olson. I work at Jump Rope. I'm going to get into what our company does and offers to New York City schools in just a minute. I wanted to thank you all for joining. It's 8 a.m. I'm still working on clearing my throat in the morning, so hopefully I have no cobwebs keeping me from getting through today's content. So in a moment, I'll go into a little bit of background and history for my company Jump Rope. And what I'm going to structure today with is through kind of teaching tips and strategies and also administrative strategies on grading practices, on attendance, and on family engagement. To do so, I'm going to use Jump Rope's features and software with my experience supporting schools, teachers, and administrators, implementing those features. So you'll see screenshots of our software. Hopefully some of these tips can be helpful to those of you who might have a different grade book, or those of you who already use Jump Rope. I'm trying to strike a nice balance so that everybody here can get some value out of today. Again, examples will be from Jump Rope, which is an online grading system and attendance tool. Hopefully some of these tips can be generalized. And Jump Rope is available to New York City schools. We'll have information at the end if you would like to learn more. Make sure my screen isn't covered. Okay, so a little bit of background on myself and on Jump Rope. We've been working with New York City schools since 2009. That's me on one side and my friend Justin and business partner there. When we started, I was teaching at a high school in the Bronx, Validus Preparatory Academy. It was an outward bound school connected with expeditionary learning. We were focused on what you might call project-based learning. That was the term we used at the time, and mastery-based grading was the terminology that we were pushed into and received a lot of professional development on. At the time, there were no great software solutions to implement what our vision of standards-based grading was, which is to align all feedback students receive on a set of learning targets. In our case, we liked the I can phrasing. I can solve two-step equations, etc. Other schools did something similar, but they used New York State, Common Core, Next Gen, pick a standard set. Others call it competency-based, or I'm going to miss some of these, but there's standards-based, competency-based, mastery-based, outcomes-based. There's a lot of different but similar grading philosophies, and none of them were well supported, in my opinion, by the grade books that were available. So we started to make one. Started off at my school with a strong focus on the standards-based grading, teaching, and learning. So it includes some curriculum planning tools, as well as the grading, progress reports, student family portal. And that was what we did exclusively for the first decade, was standards-based grading with just a little bit of auxiliary stuff for attendance, classroom management features. So over time, we've added a broader set of features, including anecdotals, so kind of behavior or running record type records on student behavior that don't fit neatly into a grade or an assignment. We've also added family engagement and messaging tools that help foster two-way conversations with family contacts, as well as two-way conversations with students about their work and their feedback that you've given them. And then just in 2021, we made a pretty big decision for our company to add traditional grading functionality to our gradebook. This brings us into direct competition with many other gradebooks, and it was a bit of a step away from our founding principle of standards-based grading. But in our estimation, there's a lot of features of Jump Rope that are very useful, even if you or your school isn't interested in taking the plunge into standards-based feedback. But there's also a large number of folks who want to do that, who aspire to do that, but the whole school isn't ready. So maybe some teachers want to use a more traditional grading policy, and others wanted to use standards-based. So we saw it as a way to make Jump Rope more accessible and approachable to a broader audience, and to have a smoother path into what might be a standards-based feedback future, by allowing it to roll out in different patterns, maybe teacher by teacher, grade by grade level, all within the Jump Rope platform. So as of today, we operate kind of as a one-stop shop data system. We complement DOE systems you're required to use. I'll talk about a couple of those throughout, such as ATS and STARS. And we add a bunch of the day-to-day functionality such that Jump Rope can be the main thing you log into during your workday as a teacher or admin, to view and enter various data on students. So those of you who joined a little late, again, my name is Jesse. I'm going to walk through a few things we've learned over the last 15 years working with New York City schools, with a focus on grading practices, attendance, and then family engagement. I'm going to do that through showing some features of our software, but I'm hoping it can be generalized to other data systems for those who don't have access to Jump Rope, or might include some newer features. If anybody here is already a Jump Rope user, maybe some new features, some new ideas to help you use it to its fullest. So I'll begin by what we call our hybrid gradebook. This word is a little bit overused in modern society, in my opinion, but we leaned into it What we mean by hybrid gradebook, so we have the ability to do full standards-based or mastery-based or competency-based feedback. And there are many schools, we have over 250 schools who use Jump Rope exclusively as a standards-based gradebook. What that means is every single score that teachers put into the gradebook is aligned to one or more learning standards. And you can't grade an assignment in that mode without having at least one learning standard aligned. There's a broad set of ways you can get those learning standards, all the way from teachers create their own, maybe share it with their peers, up to school or even district managed standard sets where the teacher's job is just to score the standards they're given, or even to pick from a standards bank of district or school standards for the ones that apply to that course experience. So we have full mastery-based functionality. That's still sort of what we're best at. And we offer a product configuration where that is it exclusively. I'll show some examples of what a report looks like. And it has some cool stuff like the ability to share curriculum from year to year, from school to school, from teacher to teacher, and that's standards aligned curriculum. The ability to enter criteria and rubrics for your assignments and standards, and a flexible scoring scale so we can support 1 to 4, or maybe you use meets, exceeds, or some codes or language. We can also support percentages, 0 to 4, 1 to 5, kind of you name it. We also have full traditional grading functionality. So this is teacher gets to set up their gradebook. They have assignment categories if they want, where maybe quizzes are 30% and homework is 10%. You can choose the categories and weights, or simply do a point-based grading system. And that spits out a percentage or letter grade based on your configuration. And we have at this point, over a dozen schools using our gradebook in just the traditional grading functionality. Then we have another set of schools in a flexible hybrid setup. So our use of hybrid, my tortured analogy is that maybe it's like a hybrid vehicle. You've got both an electric powertrain and a gasoline internal combustion engine. There are times and places where the electric motor is more efficient, and such as city driving. Maybe that's the standards-based gradebook. You use that when it makes the most sense. There are other times, maybe highway driving, towing a boat, I don't actually know, where the ICE, the internal combustion, makes more sense. So a school can have both of those enabled. They can either let teachers choose which they want to use for their class, or they can set up grading policies and administratively say, maybe a whole 9th grade team is all in on standards-based, but we're not ready to roll that out 10 through 12. I'm using high school as an example there. So that hybrid setup has the most flexibility. And we see it both as a way for schools that want to move to full standards-based someday to get their foot in the door, to get folks all using one system, but to not yet be ready to unify grading policy. We offer a bunch of features to kind of make that transition a little bit easier, including the ability to run a progress report where some classes are standards-based and some are not for a student. We can do custom grade conversions to take maybe a rubric-based scale and a traditional grading scale and either combine those or use one or the other per class to come up with a consistent overall class grade, despite some classes being based on a standards-based feedback and others on a more traditional assignment-based feedback. So our reports can combine those two together. That conversion process is very flexible, so you can set that up to meet your school's needs. And then as a further way to kind of make this as easy to use as possible for New York, we can round trip this from STARS. So we know your class rosters, we know who teaches what period of the day and all of that from the STARS program for middle and high. We have other methods of representing that and getting that student and class data into Jump Rope in schools that don't program in STARS, and sometimes we encounter that still. We also have the ability to take the result of the gradebook and get that into STARS. functionality that replaces what some of you might have used, the egg or Stars Classroom. This allows you to use the jump rope calculated scores from your daily gradebook, very easily validate and submit that, the option to override without changing data systems, and gives a little more visibility for administrators to see the status of that. So that's a broad overview of our grade book. And again, we have schools in each of these three categories of our hybrid setup. Just briefly, a few screenshots to point out some functionality. These are not meant to be comprehensive, but jump rope in this case, it looks like we have a hybrid class or class in a hybrid school. They have weighted categories that are fairly, these are sort of the run-of-the-mill defaults: classwork, homework, project, quiz, test. You'll notice, and I'm not sure if my cursor is visible to y'all, but I'm going to move it around for my own sake anyway. You'll notice the percentage weight over here on the right. In this case, this teacher has decided to do a fairly traditional setup where their assignments have a category, those categories have weights, and it's going to spit out percentage-based score at the end. These can also be determined by the school. So if a school has a grading policy, it can be automatically added to classes, and they can have more than one grading policy for, say, different grade levels or content areas. Looking a little deeper at a hybrid assignment, we can even do this capability where, if you notice on the right, we're editing an assessment. The left side is a set of learning standards. Perhaps these were created by the teacher, perhaps they came from a school or district standards bank. But in creation of this assignment, Maya Angelou and Stephen King debate, it's within a unit called short stories. I suppose they're categorizing their debate as a quiz in this example. They can assign a point value. In addition to entering a percentage score out of 100, the teacher can optionally also tag one or more learning targets. When they do so, let me see what my next slide is here. Yeah. When they do so, and I'll give you some more time on the progress report in a minute, they're both putting in a traditional score that will be used for the class grade, and they're tagging it with one or more standards, and the student can see both of those pieces of feedback. Our assertion in general is that when you take the extra time to write high quality learning targets or standards, write or select from a bank, and when you take the time to enter those scores per standard, where potentially in this debate, the student might have done really well explaining how the author used structure to contribute to the message, but done a little less well on their comprehension and nonfiction. But they were excellent in their ability to contribute to the learning environment. In jump rope, you can put in a different score for each standard on the same assignment. And the reason that's important is the goal at the end is to answer the question, what level of mastery has a student demonstrated on the learning targets for this class, instead of what is often confounded in a traditional grade book is something closer to, did the student do what they were supposed to do, which doesn't suss out the skill acquisition. It tends to weigh heavily on work habits, simply because process is important. And as teachers, we need to keep more than one student on track, to move students through curriculum. All those are important. The difference in a standards-based world is you can separate that out and be explicit. You can say, for this assignment, our work habits here, I'm going to be explicit and say, though your work habits were high, there's still a skill here I haven't seen evidence of mastery on. And in jump rope, that same assignment, in a traditional grade book, you might have given them an 85, but you don't know if that 85 was because they didn't finish everything that was required, they didn't participate in this debate as much as you'd hoped, or whether it was skill-based reason that their score was lower. In jump rope standards-based grade book, you can get all of that information from the same assignment if you take the time to write out what your standards are and to score the student based on them. But you don't have to. And there are situations, types of classes, time constraints where you just need to keep track of completion compliance a little more, and that's fine too. So again, the hybrid system, you can enter a 100-point score for this assignment, and you can optionally align to learning targets. In our traditional gradebook, you just don't worry about this left half, and you only score the assignment. And in our standards-based gradebook, you do the same steps, but you only enter scores for the standards. And we don't put out an assignment score. It's just used as a vehicle to get data on mastery. So what does that look like in a report here? These are two examples of the same report, but at different detail levels. This is just one of our PDF report templates, pretty basic one. So student Robert here has a 72.7 in algebra. On the left side, again, I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but I'm going to point out that we have assignment scores broken down into the categories. There's only a few assignments to keep this simple. So we're calculating this class grade of 72 based on these assignment scores. But right below, we have the work habits. And these work habits were entered via the same assignments. So the assignment score on homework chapter 1, sec 1 through 380, maybe that was turned in late. So the student got an 80 in terms of their correctness on the assignment. Oops, sorry. But down here, on that same assignment, the teacher took the time to give them a 2 on the work habit standard. I can complete my work on time. So that is one very simple example of how you can disaggregate the work habit from the academic skills, even in a hybrid setting where that same assignment gives you a little bit more information, because I can now say one of the reasons that you may be struggling in this class is because I have evidence here that you're not keeping pace with the homework. I give the homework to help you learn. If you choose not to participate, or if you do it late, you're going to fall behind. And so you have that extra piece of data. All right. Another couple of things to point out here before I move on to our attendance and messaging features. First, there's more than one class. So most configurations of jump rope, every teacher in the school is using jump rope, but maybe some of the classes are doing traditional grading and others are not. So if we go over here to the right half, same progress report, here's algebra. We've collapsed these to show all 3 classes and their overall grade. So algebra, history, and English. It's like a high school example. Below, there's a section that only shows the learning standards. So these teachers have each chosen to put in learning standards, but in history, the academics are scored standards-based. So we have develop compelling inquiry. We can tell here that Robert is doing well at identifying multiple perspectives on political issue and not doing as well on developing compelling inquiry questions. We wouldn't be able to suss out the difference of this between these two skills if we hadn't done the standards-based work. And so if I look over here on the left again, same report, but expanded to show every assignment. So very bottom left, here's that develop compelling inquiry questions. You can see the 3 opportunities the student had, and they received a 1, followed by a 1, followed by a 2. So in this case, we've got a learning standard in the red zone, and we have 3 pieces of formative evidence pointing that out. Over on the right is a more of a summary roll-up of that hides the individual assignments to make it easier to glance at per learning target, where students have strength and where there's still work to be done. So this is just an example of the hybrid gradebook. And for those who joined a little late, the 1-sentence summary is, I'm using Jump Rope, which is an online gradebook available to New York schools, to point out some of the pros and cons of standards-based teaching and learning, and to show how a gradebook can combine both a traditional approach and a standards-based approach to aid schools and teachers who are trying to move towards standards-based, but need the functionality of the traditional gradebook in the meantime. Okay, another point to make as I go through this, we work really closely with New York City schools. I've been in schools, not yesterday, but Monday and Tuesday of this week. I spent time with schools and teachers and principals. So we're often getting direct feedback in person. Maybe we're there for a training. Maybe we are there to support rolling out a new implementation. So here are just a few things we've added. I call them creature comforts, kind of comfort features at teacher request to make jump rope a little bit easier to use. So we have a cozy, comfortable view. Maybe you've seen that in your Gmail, where there's folks who use their screen in very tiny situations and want to squeeze things more onto a small screen. There's other folks who don't enjoy squinting at their computer or turning their head sideways to see certain things. So we offer both a cozy and a comfortable option. Cozy squeezes more onto the page, uses the screen real estate as densely as is reasonable. Comfortable takes a little more space. You're looking at our comfortable view here to air out and fits certain devices better. We have views that are optimized for standards-based data entry to make it just quicker and more efficient to key it in or even import from CSV. There's other views that are optimized for hybrid or traditional grade entry. This one here is a points-based traditional grade entry. There are no standards visible in this view, so you can just key in your assignments by points. And you'll notice M and X, those are customizable codes that represent missing or excused in various ways. You can also sort your gradebook first and last name of students. This is our default by last name. It's very common in the lower grade levels to just use the first name, and that's how you think about your roster. So you can configure that in jump rope. Similarly, assignments can be descending in date or ascending, newest on the left, oldest on the left. In a minute, I'll show some integration points we have with Google Classroom that save teachers a lot of time who are doing the workflow of handing out, maybe giving feedback, say on an essay, and collecting assignments in Google. We can import those assignments and scores directly into jump rope pretty quickly. We have autosave, undo, and redo. You can see the overall class grade. It'll update as soon as you put in new scores. And you can score by rubric, points, or percent, depending on your configuration. So those are a few creature comforts we've added over the years. I'm sure there's many more. That's what I came up with in my brainstorm session here. Briefly, Google Classroom has vaulted to a very prominent role in many classrooms. We do not strive for every bit of functionality of Google Classroom, though we have some of it. Google has some extremely advanced capabilities for sharing out Google Docs, organizing them in Google Drive, and doing the kind of the forum-based communication, Google Meets, etc. So there are pieces of functionality that jump rope doesn't have and Google Classroom does, and that's going to remain true. So instead of try and build, a simpler, probably worse version of Google Docs into jump rope, we've decided to integrate with Classroom for those teachers who find its workflow features valuable. So how this works, you already have some stuff in Classroom, let's say, you just got a jump rope account. You can simply connect your account. Here on the left, I'm connected to your DOE or your school's Google account. It'll say, give jump rope access. It's that normal, click through thing. Once connected, you can decide which class in Google aligns with which class section in jump rope. And then it'll let you pull in. This is just a screenshot, but I could tick off these assignments. And if it's easy. We can match it to the assignment categories in Jump Rope, or you can do that manually if it doesn't match exactly. And when you click import, if I had ticked these off, it'll pull in, create the same assignment in Jump Rope as is in Google, remembers that it came from Google. It pulls in any scores that you had in Google Classroom, provided they were on a compatible scoring scale. And you can pretty quickly grab what's in Google, put it into Jump Rope. Why would you bother? A couple of reasons. The main one is Google Classroom is limited in its ability to spit out a report, such as a progress report or report card. So at the end of the day, you probably have to put in at least the overall class grade into another system anyway. One way to do that is by importing all your assignments into Jump Rope. Another reason you might do that is you want to add the standards-based reporting functionality. Maybe you've put in the assignment score in Google. You don't want to rekey everything into Jump Rope, but you're going to pull it into Jump Rope and enhance it with that rubric data. So there's several reasons you might want to. I can think of a few other use cases. Pull in multiple assignments that you've already scored or created in Google. That's what's happening in the left. Or if you've already had an assignment in Jump Rope and in Google, you can pull in just the scores. And that works even if there are standards based. You can choose which standard to apply those scores to. Okay, that's enough on Google Classroom. All right, I'm going to talk about attendance, change gears for a little bit. When we began building Jump Rope 15-ish years ago, we quickly identified that if you put a standard into Jump Rope that was, I can attend class on time and in a regular basis or something to that effect, and you scored students on their attendance as a learning standard, it became fascinating to correlate class time in class with skills. And it also became pretty apparent that scoring attendance as a standard in your grade book had some limitations because it's just it's a daily thing. It's a very different type of data. So we built out specific functionality for attendance instead of suggesting teachers score it as a learning standard pretty quickly, pretty early in our process. And here's just a few things we've learned that can help. So the goal is to get students in class as much as possible. I think most people generally agree on that. I suppose there are probably some exceptions of types of course experiences where a regular attendance is not necessarily required. But for the most part, we came to the following kind of best practice and tips. So one is to have a period by period attendance system. So often the highest level the school is probably measured on attendance rates is more of a daily attendance number. So was that person in the building today? That is very useful at a high level, but it doesn't always translate to class time for a specific class or teacher. I know when I taught, first period would start and I would not have very many students in my room. By the end of that period, or maybe in second period, there would be more complete attendance. And that was extremely disruptive to my first period, second period classes. Those classes, if they were first period every day, tended to fall behind or struggle in other ways because of process. So it became important, we needed to know that students and families, as well as teachers and admins, were accountable not just to was the student in the building, but period by period attendance. I'm going to accelerate my talk a little bit because I've been loquacious. So briefly, going through attendance, period by period is important. Having somebody look at this attendance day to day is quite important. And so we've built a daily attendance overview that's a pretty cool view for somebody in the office who needs to look at the big picture period by period with stats here on period attendance. Each row is a student, and these are the periods of the day across the right, along with some averages. We also have other reports that look at attendance over periods of time, date ranges, etc. And then more recently, for my last topic, we've gotten into messaging with students and families. So we've added functionality in JumpRope that can send notifications to family contacts and or students through email and or text message. You can do this from an administrative perspective. You could come into this view, filter on everybody who missed first period and send a bulk message that would go out to each subscribed family contact saying, hey, student missed first period today. Attendance is important. Getting that regular accountability, even if you might not get a reply, then everybody involved, student, family, know that school is on top of it. They're taking attendance regularly, and they are organized enough to let me know. That is step one, measure. Step two, communicate it with as many stakeholders as possible. Then you start to get some momentum, hopefully, to change the behaviors to get more people in class on time. Quickly, we have this bulk message wizard. You can send messages individually to classes, to groups of students in any combination. You can choose students and or family members as recipients. We support template tags, like this first name will fill in. And what that does is feed into JumpRope's, we call it our family engagement, our messaging system. In this case, had I submitted that, it might have sent the same message to each student or each student's family member. You can then manage replies. Parent who receives that as a text or an email doesn't have to log into JumpRope, doesn't have to create an account. They can simply reply to the email or reply right on their phone to the text message. And it'll come back to you, the staff member, inside of JumpRope's interface. So you don't have to manage dozens of text threads on your phone or reveal your phone number directly to all of the family contacts. So this is a screenshot of JumpRope's messaging inbox. You can see there's a lot of threads going on here. I'm thinking these are students, and a conversation would grow as you sent more messages and received them. We've got multiple ways to create these messages, either via a quick message where you can reach out to a specific student or students. We've also added it into the attendance workflow. When a teacher submits attendance, the school can turn on the notification wizard where it will automatically send out notifications to those students who are absent, tardy, or excused. And then we've got a bunch of other features in this messaging platform. I'll highlight a few. One is you can see in the thread that a message I sent here in blue, it'll tell you whether that went to an email. We'll do our best to tell you if that email was opened. We'll tell you if it went out to an SMS, that's text message. If we only have an email, the system tries email. If we only have a mobile phone number, we try text. If we have both, we try both. Parents can opt in or out. So they can just reply stop if they don't want these texts. When they do so, it'll notify the sender. It'll tell you, hey, this person opted out of texts. We'll still send emails or vice versa. So that the parent can manage their preferences. It also supports translation. So we import the students and the family contacts written language, and it will automatically translate outgoing messages to the preferred. When they reply, it will detect and allow you to translate it into English. So if in this case, maybe you're receiving messages from the parent in Spanish, maybe your Spanish isn't great, you can click this button, it'll toggle it into English for your sake. And then you'll notice these messages came in from SMS. So parents may not even know what JumpRope is, but they can have this ongoing thread with their teachers of their student. And then finally, it has some advanced features. It'll recognize the incoming language. And if we didn't have other information on their preferred language, it will pick that up and start sending them French in this case, based on the incoming bonjour. We can also do links and attachments, emojis, all the good stuff you might expect in a modern messaging platform. All right, we're coming up on time, so I am just going to touch on one last thing and then give you some information on how to get in touch with Jump Rope if you want. We've just added the capability to take the output of our standards-based hybrid or traditional gradebook and very easily get that class grade and any of the DOE comments back into stars. This is a way you can do this just within Jump Rope and not have to deal with another system or an egg workflow and all of that. This is very powerful, very popular functionality we've had in preview this spring and will be available to all schools in the fall. So thank you for spending your early morning today with us. I'm going to wrap up just with how to get in touch. So my colleague Yamaris is also on this call. She heard what I said, so she can correct any mistakes or fill in any gaps. You can come to our virtual booth. I believe that was a link that should be pretty easy to find if you found the link to this Zoom. I think you probably have the link to the virtual booth. We'll have somebody in that throughout the day. We are an approved vendor contracted for work with New York City schools. And we are well aware of and as compatible as possible with ATS stars, including that egg workflow contact information for families. And finally, you can scan this QR code right now. Be one of those people that holds your phone up to your computer screen to get the link. If that is easier, that will take you to, I believe, Yamaris's scheduling page that might have some links, but also allows you to schedule a time to get more information about Jump Rope if you would like. And we are at 8:44. I think I did okay. So thanks again, guys. I hope you enjoyed your cup of coffee or preferred beverage, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.